And I wanted to ask you about the budget too. Do you think it was a mistake when you were on the council not to have a formal reserve policy? Or do you think it was a mistake to balance the budget by not funding positions?
No, obviously it was a mistake not to have a formal reserve fund. It's important that any entity has a rainy day fund. When I was on the school board, we struggled to maintain a 3% reserve because at the time I was on the Lodi School Board, we had major financial issues as well. We sometimes couldn't make that 3% reserve. The city of Stockton obviously had no formal reserve, but we had a greater carryover. And yes, there were funds there that had money in them that, should we run into deep trouble, could have been borrowed from or tapped from to help get through a tough time. And the idea of balancing the budget on vacancies, it was transparent. We all knew that they weren't filled, they weren't going to be filled, and there was always hope that if the economic situation improved, more revenues came in, some of those positions could be filled. They were held there. It's no different than what they're doing today. They're freezing positions. They're holding vacancies. That's how the budget is being proposed to be balanced this year, correct?
But we're formally doing it. We're not pretending to have them open, knowing that we're not going to fill them to provide that service. We're telling the public, we're not going to fill this position. And that's not what you did. When you hold police officer positions open that you have budgeted, you're lying to the public.
We have had police officer vacancies forever because we've never been able to recruit enough police officers to fill those vacancies, even when we had money. So I think it's not an argument. When budgets were passed, it shows how many openings there are. It shows how much they're budgeted for, and if the positions don't materialize, if there's not money, they're not filled. I see nothing wrong with that, frankly.
You don't see any correlation between a commitment to filling X number of police officers? I mean, these folks aren't sweeping up or trimming trees.
The people aren't out there to fill them. Like I said, they've had openings forever that were funded in the budget, and really the money would have been used in the budget if there were enough applicants. There have not been enough to get through the training.
But it wasn't like it was a big surprise. This was a methodology for balancing the budget. We'll just agree to disagree. I find it dishonest to say we're going to hire this many, that we're going to budget for this many police officers, wink, wink, but we know we're only going to fill this many. It has a direct correlation to public safety. And actually, at the same time that I added the 16 officers back to the budget proposal 2 years ago, we also decided to streamline how we hire them, and we actually kicked it in high gear, and we were on track to hit the 441. I mean, we actually got within 8 of that position before all of this stuff started to break down. So we were getting it right. There were 4 or 5 things that we were doing structurally, we're probably doing them forever, that made it very difficult to hire cops. So it wasn't so much a matter that there weren't enough of them out there. We were kind of getting in our own way. We stopped doing that, and we were on our way to filling it to 441. And I think that that's critical. All the other stuff you've said is prevention is paramount. But it is dishonest to budget for positions and then do the laissez-faire thing, not fill them, and say, oh well, but we balanced our budget. A budget is a commitment to the citizens on how you intend, not want, not wish to spend your resources, on how you're going to do it. And that's what it is, and it's dishonest if you intentionally do that with that vacancy management thing, which is what the council always used to do. That's not right.
We were told all along by the chief of police, who was Ed Chavez at the time, that they couldn't get enough recruits. They didn't have, even though there were budgeted positions, that the difficulty was in recruitment and getting enough people to go. So if the council has in fact improved that and made it easier to recruit, and I know there were major issues with recruitment and standards and all of that stuff, that's a positive, that's good.
It's a positive, and here's what I had the same experience. Wayne Hose looked at me and said, we can't fill these, we can't fill the positions we have. The difference is I said, baloney, do it. HR, what are we doing that doesn't work for hiring cops? Fix it. And they did. So that was me. I mean, I guess we have to pat ourselves on the back, but that was me. I don't accept every answer I get. Probably accept too many of them as it is.